Howdy, Java here. In this video, we are going to learn how we can use beginner tools of Revit Structure to create a real-world project. And in this video, we will talk about columns, framings, and all of the Revit structure elements and tools that we have. This is the architectural drawing. It's a really simple project which is in 2 floors. And let me show you the structural drawings too. You can see the structural drawings for the columns and for all of the details. And you can access to these files on our Patreon, or you can work along with your own files. To begin, I will import this plan to my Revit file because this is the main plan that I have, and then I will place the columns and other parts according to this. The importing process of the CAD is really simple, so I will cut it and we will see it in Revit. Now I have the CAD file ready. Let's create a new project. I'm going to use Revit 2024, but you can use any version of Revit, but it is better to be upper than and earlier than 2023. You can use 2023 or 2024 because it has some features that will boost your workflow. Let's use the structural analysis default metric. I'm not a big fan of multidiscipline templates in Revit 2024, so I'm just going to use structural analysis default metric, and let's create a new project. Now let's set up our unit by pressing UN, and for the length I'm going to put it on meter and 2 decimal places and unit symbol of M. I'm separate tailing zeros or additional zeros that we have. And let's go to the north part. We want to assign the levels that we have. You can see the elevation in architectural part. If they have right now here, we have 0, and then we have 3.60 and 6.8. Okay, now let's go here and let's assign the levels that we have. 3.60. We have to create a new one. Peak line, and with the offset of 3.2 will give us the next one. And for the next one we have another level which is in here, and it has the offset of 3 meters. Now we have the levels that we want. You can rename them too, but for the purpose of this project I'm not going to rename it because I want to make the project faster. And let's delete these analytical views, we don't need them. And let's go to the level 1 and let's bring our plans in here. We can use link or import, it depends on your need. Let's go to the import CAD and let's bring the file. Now we have the column plan in here. I want to just have it in current view, just this view and not all of the views. And for the levels, all of them, I will scale them manually, so I don't care about these parts and I don't want the lines to be corrected. Click on open. And let's wait a little bit. It's too small. We have to select it and then we have to unpin it, and then we can scale it. It has to be 3.82 meter. So let's just select this part and press or import 3.82. Now we have the right scale in here. Let's bring it at the center, and then I just need to pin it again to prevent from any manual moving the drawing. And then the next thing I will do is to turn off the select pin elements, and then we can select the files, but we can use it as an underlay. And the next step is to make it halftone to be able to recognize it and recognize the CAD files in comparison with the Revit elements. Okay, that's great. And now we are good to go. And now for the columns, you have in some project you will have different sections in different levels, but for this project, because it's a small project, I'm just going to use one section for all of the parts. Let's go to the structural part and let's click on column. Now we have a column in here. We want to have a 40 by 40. Let's go to the edit type. Let's duplicate it. 40 by 40. And for the dimensions in here, we can do the same. And now we have the new type that we need. And now we can place it. But before placing our columns, it's better to create our grids. So press GR for grids and pick line in here to create the first script that we have. This is the alphabetical row, so we have to rename this one to A, and then we can select this and copy it along the way to other parts and other grids. You can go and change the family of them because they are big, but you can change the scales too. Let's go to the 150 maybe. That's okay. And now we have to add the elbow in here to have the right grids in here. Now let's press GR again and let's create from this side of the drawing. That's okay. And for this one, let me uncheck this and check this, and this should be 1. And now we can select it and CO4 copy, and let's just copy it along the rows. Now for here, let's add some elbows in here, and let's bring it down, and 1 for this part. And because I want to see the elbows in all of the views, let me zoom a little bit. Now when you haven't done anything, when you go to level 1, you can see the elbows in here, and it's a little bit messy. But if you want to see the elbows in other views, you have to select all of them, and you have to propagate, extend all of the grids in other views to be able to work much better. And now let's go to the level 1 and let's select the column, and let's place our columns in here. This is 40 by 40, and I want to have it by height. You can create the elevation, you can create the foundations too, but before the columns, let's create the foundations. Let's go to the isolated foundation. It depends on your foundation type. You can use isolate or wall foundation or even slabs. It depends on your project. But in here, I'm going to use isolated foundations, but for isolated foundation, it is vice versa, and it is better to first create your columns and then place your foundations. But if it was some other foundation like plain foundation, you can use a slab, and it is better to place slabs and then your columns. Let's click on columns and let's place it in here. And for the height, I'm going to place it from level 1 to level 3. Now let's place it in here. This is 40 by 42. This one too. The dimensions are same, but when you see C7 and C8, that shows that we have different reinforcements in it, and you have to be careful about that. And they are not the same columns in details. They are same in the dimensions, but they are different in the reinforcement details. Now we have the columns. We only have a 45 by 45 column, which is in here. Let me just create a new type in here. 45. Let's assign the new values. Now let's place this one in here. Now let's place it on. Let's put the visual style and shade to see our column much better. Now let's use isolated family, isolated foundation in here. I'm going to just use the default one. Let's go to the edit type. I want a 1 by 1 and the thickness of 90 for my foundations in here. And we have a option in here which is add column. You can select your columns and you can place all of the foundations that you want to have. If you want to have foundation beams in here, you can place them with actual beam, or you can use slabs too. But right now I'm not going to go into those details. Let's go to 3D, and we are in 3D right now. The height is okay, but the dimension is not satisfying right now. Let's put it on maybe 70 by 120, 120. And I like it much better. We have the exact plan for beams in here. You can create your beams along with the details that we have in here. But for this project, I'm going to use some default beams because it will take a lot of time, and it's not a difficult thing to create multiple types of beams for yourself. But let's just use one of the details in here, and let's see one of the details. which is, for example, B6. This is the B6 in here, and the first and the second level are 45 by 30. Let's just use that one. And if you want me to create a full detailed video for Revit Structure project with a much more lengthy video, make sure to comment down below and I will create it at the first time that I find, but it depends that if you want me to do that. And now let's go to the level 2 and we can go to the structural plan level 2 in here. Let's just save the project. Now let's put it on shaded, and now we can start to create our beams in here. Let's go to the beam in here and click on beam, and let's use our concrete section that we have in here. We want to have a 45 by 30, 45 by 30. Now let's create our beams in here. For example, let's create a beam in here from here to here, but the dimensions are vice versa. Let's just put 30 in here and 45 in here, and that's okay, and that's a beam that I want. And now you can start to create your beams. You can check the chain part because it will allow you to create the beams in a chain form, and it will be much easier. Now we have the main beam in here. We can add some cantilevers, but before to do that, let's go to 3D and let's assign some colors to the beams and columns to be able to see them much better in here. Let's go to the structural column, and for the surface let's add a solid color of yellow, and for the structural framing let's add a solid color of blue, and that's great. Now let's add some cantilever beams that we have in this part. Let me show you. We have some cantilevers in here, and we have some in here, and we have one in here, and the dimension should be 120. Let's add a line in here to some auxiliary to help us to create the cantilever part in here. Maybe 160 will be fine, and that's the area that we want to create. And now we have to add some other beams in here. You can change the type of the beam, but I'm not going to do that here, and I want to have them as cantilevers. And if you want to create a round corner, you can use round beams too. For example, let's go to the beam, and we can use fillet arc. For example, this one and this one. We can fillet it to the shape that we want, and this is the other beam that we've created. We can do the same thing in here. Let's press LI for line, and let's create a 160 in here and in here, and that's great. And now let's see or create similar from this one, and let's create a beam in here, and let's create one in here. I want to do the same thing or same fillet in here too. So let's press CS on this one and use fillet arc. So let's put it on radius and 150, and let's select this one and this one. 150 is too high. Let me use maybe this one and this one, and this one and this one. And now you can have some in here. For this part, I'm going to use peak line, line and peak line, and with the dimension of 160 again. And I'm going to use this line to create my other line that I want to have in here. It can be a smaller, but I'm going to create it in this size. And now can go to the beam, and we can use peak line and use this line to create a beam in here. And then let's just CS on one of these again, and we can join these two together and create another one for here and another one for here. Now this is the cantilever part that we want to have in our building. And now after you've done all of the works in here, the levels of cantilever part are not right, so let me select them. Now let's filter our structural framing, and let's put the levels on level 2, and you can see it's a problem that we have. We can delete them and create them again, or we can just move them. For your project, this is better to create them at this exact host that you want to have them, but for the purpose of education, I'm not going to do that again, and I'm just going to move it from here and make sure to activate the disjoint, and let's put them in here. And now we have the beams. Now we can select all of the beams in here, and you can copy them to the level that we want to have. Copy to clipboard and align to selected level. We have them in level 2 right now. Let's put it on level 3. We have the beams and columns, and for the according to the plan, let's go to 3D. According to the plan, our stairs are here, so we have to bring those columns upper than the other ones. Let's select these ones. Now we have the columns, and let's place them to level 4. And now you can create some beams in here too. Let's go to the project browser and level 4. Let's press beam. I'm going to change the type. And now those are the beams that we want there. And now you can start to create some other elements like for example floors and walls and concrete walls too. Now it's the time to create our joist, but before to do that, make sure to like this video and share it with your friends and colleagues to help us create more tutorials like this. And if you want me to create more Revit concrete project tutorials, make sure to comment down below. And if you want to get access to all of the exercise files, you can go to our Patreon page, which you can find the link in the description. Now let's go to create the beam systems that we have. Let's go to the level 1 or level 2. And in here, we can create our beam systems. Let's click on beam system in here. Then you can specify the beam that you want to place. For example, I want to use this one. But before that, let me go to the beams and let's create a new type in here. I'm just going to use some random numbers in here. 35. Now they are gray. Let me just create a 1 in here to see the scale of it. That's fine. And now let's go to the beam system. The beam system which will give you the freedom and not the freedom, but it will give you the speed of modeling joints. Now let's put it on 25 by 35, and the justification should be the center and layers rule. I'm going to put it on fixed distance or fixed number. It depends on you, but I'm going to put that on maximum spacing because it will not give us some bad spaces in here to here, and the dimension should be 180 would be better. 180, and then you just need to bring it in here or in here, and it will place your joints very easily. Because when you put it in here, it's gonna and it assumes that you want to place the joints in this side, and we don't have enough space to place joints. But when you place it in here, it will measure the dimension from here to here. So for here, I'm going to just click on in here and in here, and we can have our joist in here or in here. You can see it is really easy to place your joist. I'm going to put it on here and in here, this part and this part. And you can see we have the joists in here. You can change the type of them. They are a little bit bigger. Let me select one of them. We can select them right now. We have to go to the beam again and create a beam in here. Let me put it on about 25 by 35, and let's go to the type, and 20 by 30 would be a better one, and you can rename it, or even that's fine. And now we have the new joist in here, and now we can select all of them and copy it to the next level that you need. Let's select all of them, and let's go to the filter and let's select structural beam system and copy to the keyboard, align to selected level and level 3. And now we have the joist in here. Let me turn on the select pin element, and now you can see I can select this separately, and then I can right click and select all instance in entire project, and now I can override them by graphic and with the color that we want them to have, because I want you to see them much easier. And now they are my joists that we have in here. You can place some in here. Let's go to level 4 and let's go to beam system again. Now let's place them on this side, and now we have them in here too, but they don't have color because we have to select them again. That's the bad part, but that's the only way that we can do it right now. Okay, now we have the beam system. The next part that I want to teach you is to create structural walls, because if you want to have the walls in other softwares like Revit Structure, you have to create and use structural walls instead of architectural walls. You can go to the structure part and create on wall. Let's go to the level 1, and in here I want to use retaining wall of 30 centimeter in here, and I want it in a height mode, and from level 1 to level 2. Let's go to 3D and see what is happening here. This is not the right one that I want, so let me adjust it manually. And now let's create more in here. Now let's go to 3D, and now we have the walls in here, but we have to bring them down, and there is a problem in here, and we have to attach them under the beams. But let me see the dimensions that we have between our level and between the beam. The height of the beam is 45, so we can select the walls in here, and let's put it on -45, and that's the right detail that I want, I'm looking for. Now we can select the walls in here, and then we can copy them into the other levels in here. Let me just select it. Let's copy to clipboard. I like to select a level on level 3, and then we can have one for level 2, and then we have to change the height for them. Let me select the walls, filter them, and select the walls. And now in here, let me put it on 0, and now we have the right walls too. And now that's the walls, and for the roof and floors, you can add floors really easily with the floor in here. And the other part maybe you're asking is the reinforcement part, because reinforcement is too has much more detail. I have created some other videos like rebar your beam, or make rebar details for your beam, and I will create some other tutorials for the column and for the ester in future, so you can watch those videos for the reinforcement part. And that was it. Make sure to like this video and share it with your friends and colleagues. It will help me to create more tutorials like this, and make sure to comment down below if you want me to create more tutorials for RCC project in Revit. And if you want to get access to all of the accessory files, make sure to go to our Patreon page, and you can find the link in the description